I'm Michael Theodore from BI Labs, and today we have a new BI Labs. I'm here with James Wu. James is from the reporting services team. And at BI Labs we have two typical types of projects. We have one that's focused on new, innovative types of prototypes. And we have another one that's focused on applications that are just useful for the community. And James is going to show us one of those applications which are useful for the community. And James, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So this tool is really designed for migrating reports and other reporting services related artifacts from a native mode report server to a SharePoint integrated mode report server. So here we can take a look at Report Manager, and you can see we have some folders here. We have some reports, some data sources, and some shared data sets, and we have reports within these folders.
So if I'm a reporting services admin, I'd be very comfortable with this type of
yeah, this will be very familiar to you, right? And our goal is to migrate these reports and other artifacts to a SharePoint mode report server.
Okay.
Right. So I already have the tool fired up, and you can see that here I specify the native mode report server URL, the report server instance name, and I also want to migrate report history. Right, and I want to specify a folder where all the report artifacts are getting downloaded to, and a password, which I'll explain a little later. Right. So now I can hit the generate migration script.
Okay. So it's moving everything now from reporting services over to disk. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So it's making API calls to the native mode report server. As you can see, we have a log window over here, which tells you the progress. Right. Here we have a failure because we have a very long folder name, and we're trying to address that in the next version.
So there's other versions on the horizon.
Yes.
So
yes.
keep an eye out for those. So if I didn't have the application, what would I have to do to actually migrate these reports over to SharePoint?
So you can write your own application. That's one option. There are some tools out there right now that helps you with the migration, but none of the tools can actually do a native to SharePoint mode migration.
Oh, I see. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So how long does the script usually take to run?
This one will probably take a minute, and we have about 20 reports here that we're looking at.
Excellent. And what was some of the background around why you built this application?
Well, so a lot of customers are actually asking for this kind of capability. Mm-hmm. Migrating from native mode to SharePoint mode, you can do things manually, but there's these little quirks that you have to work through. For example, the URLs looks different, right, from native to SharePoint, and passwords need to be migrated, and we don't expose any public APIs that you can do that. So,
I see. Okay, so this helps automate all that and just make it easier for people.
Right. So we're done with the first step, which is the backup. So we have a success message over here, and the tool generates files under the folder you specified. So it generated a PowerShell script, right? It also downloaded all the artifacts, stored them as XML or RDL in the appropriate format.
Okay, so now we've got this all on disk,
right?
And now we want to push it into SharePoint.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we have a PowerShell script window open, right? And a couple of command line parameters like the SharePoint mode server name, the password that we specify earlier, and the document library, and a connection string if you want to restore report history.
Right. Okay.
So we can enter here. The password is really used for encrypting the stored credentials for your data sources, because once we download them to disk, we don't want to store them as plain text. Right? So we encrypt them, and you specify the same password when you restore them to SharePoint mode.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
And how many files are we pushing into SharePoint here?
Well, it's the same number we downloaded. You can this tool really scales. We tested on an internal production server which had around 16,000.
16,000. How long did that take?
That one took around like 9 hours.
9 hours.
Yes.
Okay. Which would actually be much longer if you had to do it manually.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. This is fantastic. And then how long does this stage of the process work?
This will take probably a minute or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're looking at about, what, 20 reports, something?
20 reports plus subscriptions and history snapshots and whatnot. Right?
Okay.
So a couple of failures here related to changing subscription owners because we want to set the correct subscription owner, and I don't have the permission, so I'm getting seeding these failures.
So that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal.
Okay.
It really helps debugging though, because it's just a PowerShell script. You can just take a look at what's going on if you ever find a problem.
Makes sense. It looks like it ran 1 minute, 10 seconds.
10 seconds and it's done, right? Now we can go back to the SharePoint mode server and take a look. And I do a refresh.
And then they all are. So they've moved them all into this report library.
That's right.
And as well as maintain the hierarchies and
Yes.
these screens. Okay.
And the links are all correctly resolved, like reports to shared data sources or to models. They're all correctly stored, right? So we can render one here, a shared data source. And this one actually uses a shared data source with a stored credentials. So the credentials are also restored
Fantastic.
correctly.
And brings history over and all that.
Yes, it brings
Okay.
history over as well. We can take a quick look and report history.
There you go.
There you go.
That's fantastic.
Rendered, yeah.
This is great, James. Thanks so much for sharing this with us. I'm sure there's a lot of members of the community that are going to be very pleased to be able to have this time-saving application. So appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very
Thank you
much.
for sharing it with us. If you want more information, we'll have everything available on BI Labs, on WACWAC, or on Microsoft.com WAC BI. Thank you very much.